Blood does not rush through the body by force, it flows by cooperation. Every heartbeat depends on the quiet flexibility of arteries, the subtle chemistry of fats, and the delicate dialogue between blood vessels and the nutrients we provide. When that dialogue weakens, circulation slows, legs feel heavy, cold, or tired. Walking becomes effort instead of ease. Many people assume this is simply age, but biology tells a more nuanced story. The arteries are not rigid pipes, they are living tissue, responsive and intelligent. They expand, contract, repair, and adapt based on signals they receive every day. Among the most powerful of those signals are fats, specifically the quality of oils that become part of cell membranes, hormones, and inflammatory pathways. Long before symptoms appear, the body is already responding to what it has been given. Natural oils have been discussed in health education for decades, not as cures, but as biological supporters. When chosen wisely, they influence blood viscosity, vessel elasticity, and cellular communication. Poor circulation is rarely a single problem. It is the cumulative effect of inflammation, oxidative stress, and nutritional imbalance. Understanding oils through this lens allows us to move away from fear and toward cooperation with the body's design. This conversation is not about miracles, it is about restoring flow, physically, biologically, and thoughtfully, by aligning with how the human body was built to function. Healthy blood flow begins at a scale so small that it is rarely considered in everyday health conversations, at the level of the cell itself. Every cell in the human body is enclosed by a membrane made largely of fat, and this membrane is not a passive barrier. It is an active, responsive structure that determines how the cell communicates, absorbs nutrients, releases waste, and responds to stress. The quality of fats that become part of this membrane shapes how flexible or rigid it will be. When the membrane is flexible, the cell adapts smoothly to changes in its environment. When it becomes rigid, communication slows and strain increases throughout the system. Arteries are made of living cells that depend on this same principle. They are designed to expand and relax with each heartbeat, adjusting moment by moment to changes in pressure and demand. Natural oils, when used in their unrefined and balanced forms, contribute fatty acids that support this elasticity. These fats integrate into arterial cell membranes, allowing them to remain supple rather than stiff. This flexibility reduces resistance as blood travels through the vessels, especially toward the lower body, where circulation must work against gravity. For the legs, this process is particularly important. Blood flowing downward must return upward efficiently, relying on both vascular tone and muscular support. When arterial walls lose flexibility, blood movement becomes sluggish, oxygen delivery decreases, metabolic waste accumulates, and muscles fatigue more quickly. The sensation of heaviness or pulledness in the legs is often not a sign of weak muscles alone, but of vessels that no longer respond fluidly to the rhythm of circulation. The body does not respond instantly to changes in fat intake. Instead, it incorporates what it is consistently given over time. Natural oils act slowly and quietly, becoming part of long-term structural maintenance rather than short-term stimulation. This gradual integration allows the body to rebuild arterial tissue with materials that support resilience instead of rigidity. The result is not a sudden surge in circulation, but a steady improvement in how easily blood moves with each heartbeat. This perspective shifts the focus away from forcing circulation and towards supporting its design. The arteries do not need to be pushed, they need to be nourished. When the cells lining blood vessels are supplied with appropriate fats, they regain their ability to respond to internal signals that regulate expansion and contraction. blood flow improves because resistance decreases, not because pressure increases. Understanding circulation at the cellular level brings clarity to why quality matters more than quantity when it comes to oils. The body listens to what it is given and builds itself accordingly. Over time, when arterial cells are supported rather than strained, the legs receive better oxygenation, movement feels easier, and circulation becomes a cooperative process rather than a struggle. Inflammation is often misunderstood as an enemy, when in reality it is a biological response meant to protect and repair. In the short term, inflammation helps the body heal, but when it becomes chronic and low-grade, it quietly alters the structure and behavior of blood vessels. Over time, this persistent inflammatory state causes arterial walls to thicken and stiffen, reducing their ability to respond to changes in blood flow. This process does not cause immediate pain, which is why it often goes unnoticed until circulation problems begin to appear in the legs, where blood flow is most sensitive to resistance. The inner lining of the arteries is especially vulnerable to inflammatory signals. When inflammation remains elevated, this lining becomes irritated and less responsive. Blood vessels lose their natural rhythm of expansion and relaxation, and circulation becomes less efficient. The body compensates by increasing pressure, which further stresses the arterial walls. Natural oils influence this process at a biochemical level by shaping how inflammatory signals are produced and resolved within the body. Certain fats support the body's ability to regulate inflammation rather than amplify it. When these oils are present, the immune system becomes more balanced in its response. Inflammatory chemicals are produced when necessary, but they are also turned off more effectively once their role is complete. This balance allows the arterial walls to recover and maintain their elasticity. The reduction of unnecessary inflammation lowers friction within the vessels, making it easier for blood to travel smoothly, particularly to the lower extremities. For the legs, this process is particularly important. Muscles depend on steady oxygen and nutrient delivery to function without fatigue. When inflammation decreases, circulation becomes more efficient, waste products are cleared more easily, and muscle recovery improves. This can translate into reduced heaviness, less discomfort during walking, and a greater sense of strength and stability. The body responds gradually to changes in inflammatory signaling. Natural oils do not act like quick fixes. Instead, they influence long-term patterns by becoming part of the body's internal chemistry. As inflammatory load decreases, the arterial system regains flexibility and responsiveness. Circulation improves not through force, but through cooperation between blood, vessels, and the signals that regulate them. Over time, this quiet shift supports healthier arteries and more reliable blood flow, allowing the legs to feel supported rather than strained during daily movement. Oxidative stress is one of the most subtle yet influential forces acting on the circulatory system. It occurs when reactive molecules generated through normal metabolism accumulate faster than the body can neutralize them. Over time, these molecules interact with the delicate inner lining of blood vessels, gradually weakening its structure and impairing its function. This inner lining plays a crucial role in regulating blood flow by releasing signals that tell arteries when to widen or relax. When oxidative stress disrupts this signaling, circulation becomes less responsive and more rigid. The endothelium, the thin layer of cells lining the arteries, is sensitive to oxidative damage. When its integrity is compromised, blood vessels lose their ability to adapt to changes in demand. Instead of smoothly adjusting to increased activity, vessels remain partially constricted, limiting blood flow to working muscles. This effect is most noticeable in the legs, where blood must travel longer distances and overcome gravitational pressure. Reduced endothelial function can make simple activities feel more tiring, as muscles receive less oxygen and nutrients during movement. Natural oils influence oxidative balance by supplying compounds that help stabilize cellular environments. When these oils become part of daily nutrition, they contribute to the body's ability to manage oxidative load. This does not mean eliminating oxidative processes, which are essential for normal function, but rather maintaining equilibrium. When balance is restored, the endothelial cells regain their capacity to release signals that regulate vascular tone. As oxidative stress decreases, arterial walls respond more fluidly to internal cues. Blood vessels can widen when muscles demand more oxygen and return to resting tone without resistance. This adaptability supports efficient circulation and reduces strain on the heart. Over time, improved endothelial responsiveness contributes to more consistent blood delivery to the legs, supporting endurance and strength. The relationship between oxidative stress and circulation is cumulative. Damage develops gradually, and repair occurs in the same manner. Natural oils work quietly, integrating into cellular systems and supporting long-term resilience rather than immediate change. Their influence is subtle but persistent, shaping how the body responds to metabolic stress on a daily basis. When endothelial function is preserved, blood flow becomes a dynamic process rather than a forced one. The arteries respond to the body's needs with precision rather than resistance. For the legs, this means steadier energy, improved temperature regulation, and reduced fatigue during activity. The body does not require intervention to create flow. It requires support to protect the systems that regulate it. By maintaining oxidative balance, the circulatory system retains its ability to adapt, ensuring that blood reaches the tissues that rely on it with efficiency and consistency over time. Blood is often imagined as a simple fluid, but biologically, it is a complex, responsive system. Its ability to move efficiently depends not only on the heart's strength or the openness of arteries, but also on its internal composition. When blood becomes too thick or sluggish, circulation slows, especially in the legs, where gravity already creates resistance. This change does not happen suddenly. It develops gradually as the balance of fats, fluids, and inflammatory signals shifts within the body. Many people experience the effects without realizing the cause, noticing cold feet, heaviness, or early fatigue during walking. The types of fats present in the bloodstream influence how freely blood cells move past one another. When this balance is disrupted, blood becomes less fluid, increasing friction within vessels. The heart must work harder to push blood forward, and smaller vessels struggle to deliver adequate oxygen to tissues. Natural oils affect this process indirectly by shaping lipid balance and supporting healthier interactions between blood components. Rather than forcing blood to thin unnaturally, they encourage conditions in which flow is naturally smoother and more efficient. This smoother flow reduces strain throughout the circulatory system. When blood moves easily, pressure on vessel walls decreases, allowing arteries to maintain their integrity and flexibility. For the legs, this translates into more consistent delivery of oxygen and nutrients, especially during movement. Muscles receive what they need without delay, and waste products are cleared more efficiently. The sensation of heaviness often diminishes as circulation becomes less effortful. Hydration and fat balance work together in this process. Natural oils support the structure of blood cells and the signals that regulate circulation, but they rely on adequate fluid levels to function optimally. When these elements align, blood maintains an ideal viscosity that supports steady flow rather than resistance. This balance is not about extremes, but about restoring the conditions under which the circulatory system evolved to operate. Over time, improved blood flow reduces fatigue in the lower limbs and supports endurance. Walking becomes more fluid, and recovery after activity feels easier. The body benefits not from stimulation, but from reduced internal resistance. Natural oils contribute to this by supporting long-term balance rather than short-term change. As blood moves with greater ease, circulation becomes a cooperative process between the heart, vessels, and the blood itself, allowing the legs to feel supported and energized rather than strained during daily life. The body responds to nourishment not as an isolated event, but as a pattern repeated over time. Natural oils do not act like medication that forces an immediate outcome. Their influence is subtle, cumulative, and deeply dependent on consistency. When used occasionally, their impact is limited, but when integrated into daily living, they gradually reshape the internal environment in which arteries, blood, and tissues function. This long-term relationship is where their true strength lies, especially for circulation in the legs, which relies on sustained support rather than bursts of intervention. The circulatory system is highly adaptive. It responds to signals it receives day after day, adjusting vessel tone, blood composition, and inflammatory responses based on what is consistently present. Natural oils provide repeated signals of nourishment, stability, and balance. Over weeks and months, these signals encourage arteries to remain flexible, blood to stay fluid, and tissues to remain receptive to oxygen and nutrients. This slow adaptation often goes unnoticed until one day movement feels easier and endurance improves without conscious effort. Consistency also teaches the body to regulate itself more efficiently. Instead of reacting to stress with excessive constriction or inflammation, vessels learn to respond with measured relaxation. This is particularly important in the legs, where blood must travel against gravity and through long vascular pathways. When arterial walls are supported consistently, they cooperate with circulation rather than resisting it. This cooperation reduces the burden on the heart and improves overall circulatory efficiency. Lifestyle context amplifies these effects. Natural oils work best when paired with gentle movement, adequate hydration, and regular breathing patterns. Walking, stretching, and even standing posture influence how blood returns from the legs. Oils support the biological readiness for flow, but movement provides the mechanical encouragement. Together, they create a rhythm that circulation responds to naturally. This rhythm is not aggressive or demanding. It is steady, predictable, and calming to the nervous system. Over time, this approach shifts how aging is experienced in the body. Rather than a sense of decline marked by stiffness and fatigue, there is a feeling of maintenance and continuity. Legs remain responsive, muscles recover more quickly, and daily activities feel less taxing. These changes are not dramatic, but they are meaningful. They reflect a system that is supported rather than corrected, nourished rather than pushed. Perhaps most importantly, consistency fosters trust between the individual and their body. When nourishment is regular and gentle, the body responds with reliability. Signals of discomfort become clearer and easier to address. Energy levels stabilize. Circulation becomes something that works quietly in the background rather than a constant concern. Natural oils, when used with patience and respect for the body's pace, become part of a larger relationship with health that values sustainability over urgency and long-term resilience over quick results.